Hey, what's going on, everyone? Neil here from Clearview Plastics in Sacramento, California. And today, it's pretty exciting. We have a new enclosure, which is actually an update to an older enclosure that we've been putting a ton of work into. And it's the new Xtool D1 and D1 Pro enclosure V2. Check this out. All right, so here is the new enclosure for the Xtool D1 and D1 Pro, and this also services a range of the laser heads from the 10 watt all the way up to the other heads that they have, the more powerful ones and the different types that they have. So as you can see, we have this enclosure in our amber orange acrylic, which is UV filtering at the wavelength that the diode laser operates at, which I think is 455 nanometers. So this is actually spectrometer tested to block over 99% of the UV rays at that 455 nanometer wavelength. So this stuff is actually it's actually really serves a purpose and a function, and it is a great add-on. Even if you don't think that you need it, if you have little ones or if you have pets that don't know better than to not look at the laser, then this is an absolute must-have. So since our original enclosure, some of the things that this really kind of shares the same elements with is that you can see it tightly encloses the printer. And the way that this works is this sits on top of the feet of the enclosure. So when you move the enclosure, then the laser comes with it. And we did that so that it was easy to transport. So people that are going to like trade shows and doing this for commercial applications, we really made this enclosure especially for you guys, especially if you're trying to set up jobs when you're really moving the enclosure or the laser around. Then this is super ideal for that. Then also the enclosure is designed to work with Xtool's rotary system. So you can see that we have it raised up with additional feet. And then it's also designed to work with, to have an exhaust on the side. It works with the air assist, and we're trying to think of any other options. We've got a grid in there, so it works with Xtool's honeycomb as well. Now, there's actually some really, really cool details about this that I think that everyone will see that we have thought through this enclosure more than any other available enclosure out there. And this is designed to make it so that your enclosure or your laser workspace will look great, and then it will also function much better than any other enclosure that you can see. I assure you that. So check this out. Now I've got a list here. I'm just going to hot fire it. We're going freestyle here, so sorry about the ums and ahs ahead of time. So the new enclosure is now taller. And oh, by the way, just before I start, these are all updates that I've gotten requests for over the past, call it a year and a half, from people to improve this. We've taken all of the notes and we've applied as many of the updates as we possibly can for this. So the biggest new improvement that we've done to this enclosure is instead of it was 12 inches tall, it is now 16 inches tall. And that is that gives us, of course, more room. And then it also is now tall enough to be compatible with the lightburn camera system. Then we also made it a more rigid design. And so one of the biggest one of the best pieces of advice that I got to improve this is that we needed to make the enclosure more rigid. So the big deal is when you're using a lightburn camera, when you open and close the enclosure, there's always a little bit of sway or movement within the enclosure, and then that throws off the alignment of the lightburn camera. And so we put in some extra effort to make sure that this thing is taller, which makes it tougher to be more rigid, but then we put in some rigidity reinforcements so that this enclosure now is like as accurate as possible. So, you know, when we shake it back and forth, this thing is strong and sturdy. And with this one, we're using 1/4-inch acrylic panels, so that reduces any, for the most part, just about all sag on the roof panel, and then it just again makes it super strong in the way that it stands up. So the next thing that we have is that one of the biggest things that we did for this is we actually integrated a camera right into the enclosure. And so it just bolts right onto the top, and then that is going to be your lightburn camera. And since it's mounted to the top, then we get a super accurate lightburn image, so that when you start doing your tracings, then the rigidity of this enclosure will make it so that your tracing for your objects inside a lightburn is super duper accurate. Now, the camera that we include, it's a USB HD camera. So you get, I think, a 1080 resolution out of this. So it's a pretty good resolution, pretty clear, and then you get it in full color instead of the amber orange. You get it in full color because it's actually going right through it's cut into the acrylic. Oh, and by the way, also, now all of our acrylics are all laser cut as well. We used to CNC cut them, which is great. CNC is amazing. However, it's super slow. And then instead of getting like a CNC'd edge, which is kind of like a buttered chalk lined image, now we have a nice laser lined image where we get kind of like a nice glass effect to this. So really nice on the style points there. The next thing that we integrated into this is what we call flow control. So on the old enclosure, we used to have media ports here. And so instead of having large media ports, now we actually have a sliding system that opens and closes your venting control. So purpose of this is you can have it open or closed so that it helps direct your exhaust fumes in a way that helps clear the air out faster and more efficiently. So if you are doing a large object and you need it, we got the exhaust fan here, and you want your exhaust to travel across the enclosure, then you can close this side. Or if you're doing a smaller object and you just really want a good exhaust current going on this side, you can close this side. Or there might even be some times where you have both of them open or even both of them closed to get the maximum amount of exhaust. But no matter what, this really kind of gives you the best control to make sure that your workspace stays cleaner and healthier and maybe a little not stinkier. The next thing is now notice what we did now is instead of having kind of a window, we actually put individual ports for the USB power switch and power cables. So notice that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That is more than the 3 levels that you can get from the stock legs from Xtool. So what we are including with this kit is a spare set of of feet, so you can go 3 levels high. So that's going to get you higher. It's going to get you a higher height for your laser, so you have more clearance to do rotary operations and large media, and then we can take advantage of more of the height of this nice new 16-inch height for the enclosure. Next, then we also one of the a really piece of good advice I got is to try and make it so that your honeycomb and your grids are locked in, and so that they're super accurate. And maybe if you remove the honeycomb and put it back in, it's nice to be able to already have your grid system be accurate again and aligned with the laser. And so when you assemble this laser, we take a couple extra steps to ensure that everything is square. And now we have these. Let me just open this guy up. So what we have set up are these corner brackets for the Xtool grid. And so that makes it so you can lift your Xtool grid in and out, place it back in really easy, and then also it's locked in. So if you have things so that it's essential to be square, then these lock-in tabs will help keep things nice, rigid, and in line for you. And then, if you have seen our original enclosure, what we have is we had one giant door on top that would flip up, and man, we thought that was going to be really nice, and it was. However, it also was really big, and that made it a little bit bulky to open and prop up and keep open. So now we redesigned this front door. It's still magnetically latched with some new magnetic latches that we have, but now it just folds up, folds back, and we have awesome access to putting in media and taking out media from the laser. A lot of people like to always ask if this is compatible with air assist, and it absolutely, of course, is. It takes a little bit of strategy to route your air assist lines so that you get a good airflow for your air assist. But check out this new wiring grommet that we have. So this wiring grommet, you can feed in any wires that you have. So like right here, we have an LED light going in, but this small hole here, that is sized so that you can feed in your air assist hose and adjust it rather easily with the laser head. And this wiring grommet, just it's made from rubber, 3D printed rubber, and installs in and comes out super easy, just like that. So let's see here. So, and then the last thing, we used to have 2 LEDs. Now we just go with one nice bright LED to light up the whole work surface. Something that some people kind of get confused on is they don't think that these LEDs are very bright, but keep in mind that this is a UV filtering acrylic, so this filters out all of the blue light. And so when you have it closed, you're going to get less light. But however, when you go into Xtool, you actually get a nice bright image, and when you have it open, you actually have some nice, it's nicely lit inside as well. So, all that said, I think that we have a huge improvement. And if you are using your Xtool for, if you want a professional grade, if you're using it for business, if you're using it a lot, and you want something that looks nice, and you want something that's more effective than your usual like tent style or binder style enclosure, then the Clearview enclosure, the Clearview Xtool enclosure version 2 just might be the way to go. I actually just wanted to finish off with a few more options that I forgot to mention in the previous sequence here. So first, let's talk about the exhaust hose or exhaust system. So with our enclosures, they automatically will come with this bracket right here. This is a bracket that hooks up to a 4-inch exhaust hose. You can get these exhaust hoses right on Amazon, and they come with a little clamp, ring clamp to hook right up to this. Now, if you already have an inline fan, then this is actually all you need. And so you would take this to the exhaust hose, to your inline fan, and out the door window to the outside. And this will mount right up to this panel. Now what we have here is our 200 CFM exhaust fan. And so if you don't have an inline fan, or if you don't like the size of the inline fans, this is a much more compact and equal amount of airflow compared to some of these inline fans fan that bolts right onto the side of the enclosure. The way that these work is these hook up super easy with simple DC barrel connectors, and then they just go right to a plug that has a speed control on it. So when you're starting to engrave, you can crank it all the way up, and as it's producing smoke, this is really pumping out some air. And since we've got speed control, you can turn it down to whatever noise level that you need, or even after you're done engraving, you can leave it on this lower setting, and just to ensure that all of the smoke and fumes kind of get out of the enclosure. So this is a really easy setup. You can set this up on the left, the right or the left side of the enclosure. You can double it up even if you need to get more flow, but this is a great add-on. I did touch on the LED lights, so I just wanted to show you that these also hook up really easy with simple barrel connectors. So you do not need to be a wiring genius to set this up. It is mistake-free. Then we also include a light switch, a little rocker switch, and then it goes to a plug. Really easy setup. And to set up the actual LED, it comes with adhesive to mount it along the corner, and it's pointed in a 45-degree angle right onto your work surface. So in the last thing that I wanted to talk about, we don't have it 100% done yet. Probably in about 1 month we will have this 100% set, is we are going to have a gantry mounted automatic fire suppression kit. And so this is essential. You've probably seen some other fire suppression kits. I think Xtool even already has something of a fire suppression kit. However, it kind of sits off to the side. I don't know. It seems weird, seems bulky. Does it work? Does it not work? I don't know. But what we have is a pressurized tube that is electronics safe, that will hook right up to the gantry. And if a fire happens, then you can bet that the gantry is going to stop over the top of the fire. And the way that these pressurized tubes work is that when it's sitting over the top of even a small fire, then the heat from the fire basically melts the tube, and then it bursts a pocket of gas into the enclosure that basically smothers out the flames right away. And we are pretty much the only one that has developed this to this level, and this again really sets our enclosure apart from any of the other options. Although I think we will be able to make this fire suppression kit compatible with the Xtool machine in general, and not even just our enclosure. So if you have another enclosure, then check us out for the fire suppression kit. And so that is the Xtool D1 and D1 Pro enclosure version 2 by Clearview Plastics. And I just wanted to finish off by saying that Clearview Plastics this is a super small company. We actually design, we build, and we ship all of these enclosures right out of our shop here in Sacramento, California. As a small business, we're appreciative people, and we do our best to genuinely help people get started, support, and ensure that they are able to use their enclosures as intended. So we build a range of enclosures for 3D printers, laser engravers, and we've actually done some projects for some big companies now, and big colleges, labs, engineering labs, medical labs, biology labs, and we're really stoked that we are able to build these things for other small businesses and to help businesses and hobbyists alike use their laser engravers safely. And so if you are interested in any of the enclosures that we make, or if you're interested in the Xtool D1 version 2, head on over to our website. It's clearviewplastic.com. I'll put a link down in the description, and check out some of the enclosures that we make. See ya.